It's all right. Yeah, basically, tonight we're going to talk about Angela Lansbury because Deidre Lansbury is supposed to have met Charles Manson, and there's a story about this. And if you search for references to Charles Manson and Angela Lansbury, you hear this story basically that Deidre Lansbury met the Manson family and let the Manson family use Angela Lansbury's credit cards to buy food and car parts and stuff. And when Angela Lansbury found out about this, she moved her kids to Ireland to save them because they got addicted to drugs as well. They've been using drugs. And so she like saved her kids from Charles Manson. That's all you find if you Google this. But there's more to the story. In the Manson community, we all talk about this story that Angela Lansbury actually met Charles Manson, and she gave Dee a permission note to travel with Charles Manson. And if you search for this story online, you can't find anything about it. You know what I mean? So it suggests that some keyword stuffing has gone on, basically, which means people have. There's all these articles about the redemption arc covering up the darker rumor, basically, and we'll get into that. And yeah, because it's a live stream, there'll be chapters in the description if you want to get straight to where the presentation starts. If you're watching this on playback, but I'll talk to everyone for a minute to give people a chance to arrive, basically. Right. Yeah, sorry about that. Bloody mute was on the headset. I've got to check that every week. I forget about that. Yeah, that's it. Well, there's celebrity trust fund kids were part of the cult. Yeah, there's also, it's said that a lot of the Manson girls, they didn't all live on the ranch with Manson. There were rich girls from up in the hills that travelled in and gave Charlie money, and Angela Lansbury's daughter was one of them. But if you try and find anything about this, there's just this story that as soon as Angela Lansbury found out, she moved them to Ireland. But actually, there's more to the story in the research community, and they seem to have tried to bury this. And it's just like, Hollywood narrative management. And you see this a lot with the Manson case. You see it for the Beach Boys, obviously, because of Dennis Wilson and Terry Melcher, the Mamas and Papas, because Cass Elliot knew them, and John Phillips apparently invited Tex and Linda to his New Year's Eve party, or they were at his New Year's Eve party, and he probably did meet Charlie as well, though he denies it. So there's a lot of people trying to bury stories about themselves. It's legacy management, or whatever they call it. They're trying to protect the legacy of the Mamas and Papas and the Beach Boys and all the rest of it. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, she didn't move them till after the murders as well. Yeah, this is another thing. But if you read all these articles, it makes it sound like, though she had stopped associating with the Manson family by the time of the murders, it has to be said. And yeah, so Angela Lansbury did cut off her credit cards before then. But yeah. Yeah, that's it. In an interview with Paul Watkins, he said that Charlie and them would always carry thousands of dollars around. And if you read the Spahn Ranch raid report, the guy from the June buggy shop says that Charlie regularly walked in and spent thousands of dollars, just had thousands of dollars of cash on him, and would spend thousands of dollars on car parts or whatever and cars. So yeah, they had a lot of money all the time, and it was from people like, yeah, that's it. A DD type character when the family lived at the Spiral Staircase house. I think, yeah, this is around the time that she hung around with them, from what it says in Squeaky's book. I think, yeah. She stopped before the murders happened, though. And she was friends with Nancy Pittman, apparently. Nancy Pittman met the Manson family through Deidre Lansbury, apparently. I thought it was the other way around, but no, Deidre introduced Nancy Pittman to the Manson family. Yeah, that's it, yeah. She was friends with Nancy Pittman. That's actually how Nancy Pittman met the Manson family. Yeah. Oh, Calamity Jane. Yeah, I saw that the other day. Well, not the other day. It was only a couple of months ago in the UK. They showed it on the telly. Yeah. Yeah, very strange film for the time. Yeah, and like a lot of stuff they obviously wouldn't get away with now. And yeah, very very black and white image of what like what a woman is. You know what I mean? Like when she transforms from wearing butch clothes and that they transform her house, and all they do is put a load of frills on everything, and put flowers in pots and around the place and stuff. Like, yeah, now you're like a girl. Wouldn't do that nowadays, would they? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, better go on with the film, with the presentation. Right. So basically, the note rumor, known in research circles but vanished in public discourse. They claim that Angela Lansbury allegedly signed a note giving permission for Dee Dee to travel with Manson, originally from Ed Sanders' book, The Family, the story of Charles Manson's June Buggy Attack Battalion, has circulated in deep dive Manson research communities like the old forums and rare books, etc. Yet there's a striking absence of this story in mainstream search results, despite it being quite sensational if true. That's not a natural gap. It likely indicates keyword manipulation is being used to control the narrative, using keyword stuffing and PR saturation, or deliberate erasure of fringe narratives from search visibility. Not censorship per se, but soft suppression through volume and repetition. So basically, there's so many of these articles just talking about the redemption arc part of it. That's all you find. Right, and the main quote from Lansbury that you find. In an interview with the Mail in 2005, she would only say he, Manson, was a nutcase, obviously, but he must have had a way with young people because they were mesmerised by him. That time was a terrible page in the history of both Sharon Tate's family and ours, so it's not something we really talk about. And that's almost all she ever said, and the same quote has been used over and over again in various articles. And then they tell the story of how she saved her daughter by moving her kids to Ireland. But then this is the earliest reference to the note that I could find. The quote from The Family, the story of Charles Manson's June Buggy Attack Battalion, 1971 edition. One of the jewels in Charlie's barely pubescent pack at this time was 12 or 13-year-old Dee Dee Lansbury, the daughter of actress Angela Lansbury. To ward off possible jailbait charges, the young Miss Lansbury carried around with her a to whom it may concern letter from her mother, okaying association with C.M. Manson. Manson has said, however, that he only met Lansbury herself once or twice. So you see, even in 1970, when he was being interviewed by Ed Sanders, he was claiming that he met Angela Lansbury. Manson himself was. So yeah, she was young, and it's really hard to find pictures of her when she was younger. But this is one that appears to be about the age. When I read the quote from Squeaky's book, you'll see how it rings true. This picture of her because she's wearing jeans in the picture. She was very young. Yeah. No, Dee Dee wasn't associating with them by the time the murders happened, and she stopped associating with them a long time before, apparently. Yeah, it's unclear exactly when. But they didn't actually move to Ireland until after the murders, as someone pointed out. But they don't say that in these articles either, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Angela Lansbury ever had to testify, did she, though? She didn't deny meeting him under oath because she never had to testify about anything, yeah. But in these interviews, she definitely does not make it sound like she met him as well, did she? Yeah. Yeah. Just come back on screen for a minute when we talk. But yeah, they were all young. Like I say, it's all about young girls. He only picked young girls because they're easier to manipulate, and that was what he traded in, I think. Yeah. Sorry, just having a look at the chat for a second. Yeah. But so yeah, that's the first mention of this note that you don't see anywhere else. And I've got a reading from the Manson File as well from Nicholas Schreck's book because he mentions it obviously, and he interviewed Manson, so it's like more from Manson about this basically. I didn't look at Jeff Gwynn's book. He probably said it in Jeff Gwynn's book as well, though, because that's a book with a lot of quotes from Manson himself, so he's bound to have mentioned it there. I found it in the Ed Sanders book, so that was enough. Susan and Linda weren't young. They were young. Susan was young, wasn't she? But she's not as young as she's portrayed. She was actually about 20 by the time the murders happened, wasn't she? And Linda was slightly older. But the men were older. Bobby and Tex were older than the girls, weren't they, as well? But none of them were older than about 20 or 21. You know, they were young. But yeah, Dee Dee Lansbury was about 13 or 14 when she was hanging out with Manson, though, apparently. Over here. Got it. Right. Yes, I'll read this bit out from the Manson family now. The Manson family, the Manson File. Yeah, that's what we were saying earlier. Yeah, apparently it was Dee Dee Lansbury who introduced Nancy Pittman to the Manson family, according to CLADrive.com. Yeah. So I read. I thought it was the other way around, and Nancy Pittman introduced Dee Dee Lansbury, but no. Dee Dee Lansbury introduced Nancy Pittman. Right, I'll read out this thing now. So it's so small if you're trying to read along. But that's just how small the print is in the Manson File. Can't make it any bigger than that. Deidre and Tony Lansbury were the teenage progeny of British actress Angela Lansbury, perhaps best known for her later role as a mystery writer detective in the television series Murder, She Wrote. Deidre was only 13, but she could already look back on a wealth of experience with almost every kind of high the hippie culture could offer, including heroin. Deidre didn't remain Charlie's paying customer for long. The dope she craved was soon on the house, once she became an enthusiastic novice in the growing Manson nunnery. When Deidre told her mother all about the new liberating life she was leading in the way of the bus, Lansbury insisted on meeting the fascinating Charlie her daughter had seemed so enamored with. The actress herself was so charmed by Manson, she readily agreed not to press charges for statutory rape and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Instead, in a stunning example of progressive 60s parenting, Lansbury gladly provided Manson with a to whom it may concern letter in the case of the pigs in case the pigs poked their snouts into his private life. Lansbury wrote that she was placing Deedee under the guardianship of Mr. Manson's ministry. The British character actress wasn't the only Hollywood celebrity parent who initially trusted Manson's moral guardian abilities. Comedian Al Lewis, remembered as Grandpa Dracula on the Munsters TV series, hired Charlie and his girls to babysit his children. Lewis continued to speak well of Manson even after his conviction, denying that he ever sensed anything sinister about either Manson or his distaff entourage. Manson regarded Lewis with affection, vividly recalling their meeting outside the Whiskey A Go-Go on the Sunset Strip. During the time in which Deedee commuted between her mother's comfortable Malibu home and the rougher pleasures of the ever-roving bus, Lansbury and Manson remained on friendly terms. Manson still spoke well of the actress 40 years later, telling me that she was cool, but she was too old for me to play with. I just wanted to get into her daughter. Deedee's involvement in the Manson circle only came to an end when Lansbury moved her away from the temptations of the West Coast drug network to rural Ireland. By that time, Deedee, who later became a successful restaurateur, was a hopeless junkie. As Lansbury later said of her wayward daughter, it started with cannabis but moved on to heroin. There were factions up in the hills above Malibu that were dedicated to deadly pursuits. It pains me to say it, but at one stage Deirdre was in with a crowd led by Charles Manson. She was one of many youngsters who knew him. They were fascinated. He was an extraordinary character, charismatic in many ways, no questions about it. See, that's an older quote. I don't know where Nicholas found that from, but there she sounds more familiar with him, like she maybe did meet him, doesn't she? So yeah, because in the more recent articles, there's like a Daily Mail article she did, with an interview with her, and then there's another article where they use the same quote from the earlier article. But yeah, that's obviously an earlier quote from Lansbury there. But there, she sounds like she's a bit more familiar with Manson, doesn't she? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh, what? She bought a holiday home in a seaside village near you. Ballycotton. Where are you? Are you in the UK? Thomas McCarthy. You are, aren't you, Thomas McCarthy? Yeah, because she is English, isn't she? Actually, yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah, well, wait till I get on to what Squeaky says in her book. Yeah, yeah. Dee could afford better drugs than the average Manson family teeny bopper. Yeah, yeah. Listen to what Squeaky remembers about her. Lynette Fromme or Fromme. Yeah, yeah. Not that Manson's a sleazeball or anything. Yeah, yeah. Let's get him on the screen for a second. Look at this. Yeah. Ah, that's what he looks like. Would you trust this man? Do you believe him when he says he met Angela Lansbury? Would you write your daughter a permission note to go with this guy? Yeah, as well. That's the question. Yeah, yeah, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Hmm. Ah, you're in Ireland, yeah, because this is where she took her children to. So I wonder if it is the holiday. Has she owned it for a long time, like since the 70s, early 70s or late 60s? Wow. Yeah. Yeah, bedknobs and broomsticks as well. That is Angela Lansbury, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I know she has connections to Ireland and England. Yeah. And also, yeah, I'm going to do a poll about what I do next week as well, because there's a footnote to the Manson File that's a whole rabbit hole of itself that goes into links about between the Manchurian Candidate and the Manson File and Charles Manson. Sorry, yeah. And so, yeah, I'm going to. I've got a stream prepared about that, but I've also got another stream about Garrettson because people seem really into Garrettson at the moment. So I'll do a poll after this asking what people want to see next week. Do you want to hear about the Manchurian Candidate or more stuff about Garrettson? Yeah. Yeah, the Manchurian Candidate as well. I actually watched the whole thing for the first time. It's on archive.org. And yeah. Yeah, interesting movie. Definitely worth watching. Yeah. Very, very propagandary though, and really strange that Frank Sinatra and Angela Lansbury are playing such prominent roles in it. Very, very strange film. And it caused hysteria at the time. They had to remove it from general release, didn't they? Because loads of people went nuts, saying that they had thought they'd been brainwashed by communists or whatever. Yeah, so they regretted making it because it was meant to instill paranoia, obviously, but it worked too well. People actually developed psychosis and thought they'd been brainwashed by communists. Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, she was 19 when she did her first role in Gaslight, and she was theatre as well. She did theatre probably from childhood. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is what I wondered as well. I wondered if the son went because he was interested in boys as well, wasn't he? Young men hanging around with him. He was always trying to recruit more boys as well. But no, there is no mention of the son meeting him. It's weird. Only the daughter. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She plays a witch, doesn't she? In Bedknobs and Broomsticks, but it's like a Disney version of a witch, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. And what Dick Van Dyke's in it as well, and he yeah, they re-released that on video back in the 80s, so my generation all saw that as well. Yeah, probably a child prodigy. And if you look at pictures of her from when she was very young, before she did the Manchurian Candidate, she was really beautiful as well. That she presented more like a blonde bombshell actress. But then, as soon as she did the Manchurian Candidate, she took on this like frumpy old lady look. Basically, yeah, and stayed like that forever, like the Jessica Fletcher look, and she just looks like that from then on for some reason. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I've heard this as well. She was one of Louis B. Mayer's young loves. Yeah, yeah, and I've also heard like sinister stuff about her that she's a her and her husband were like a Hollywood power couple and had a lot of control over stuff and TV networks. The TV network they had a lot of control over it for a while until things like Murder She Wrote started to go out of fashion. TV started to modernize. It became old fashioned, and then they lost more control. Yeah. Uh, right. What else is there to say? Yes, that was it. There was the quote from Squeaky's book. Nancy, another Manson follower, Nancy Pittman, and Deirdre came from Malibu, bringing food from their parents' cupboards. They'll never miss it, Deidre assured us. They didn't even know it's there. The girls also presented us with high-quality cannabis and LSD. They knew all the best dealers at the high school. Deirdre was of strong English-Irish stock, resilient and good-natured. She wore jeans and soft blouses, too adventurous for dresses, and she looked like a child when she grinned. On a warm afternoon, she sat on our roof, strumming a guitar and singing to herself, while below, Charlie Manson and I listened, and he said tenderly, "Look at her. She's 10 times the actress her mother is without even trying." So, yes, Lynette claims that Dee Dee and Nancy Pittman actually supplied Charles Manson with drugs. They had better drugs than Charles Manson could get. They bought the best LSD and the best hash from their high school. This is when she's 13 as well, bloody hell. Mind you, having said that, I could have probably bought hash when I was 13. It was harder to get LSD by the time I was a 13-year-old, but yeah, I probably could have got hash when I was 13. But yeah, apparently, yeah, Dee Dee used to supply them with drugs, not the other way around. So yeah, she was obviously a serious drug hound. Mm. Yes, someone else said it about Diane Lake mentions it as well. She talks about her giving her clothes. Yeah, so Diane Lake remembers Dee Dee Lansbury. Yeah. Yeah, it's well, I've showed the quote from Ed Sanders' book, haven't I? Yeah, that's the earliest reference to the note. Yeah, but these are all just journalists that interviewed Manson, and so it's the source for it basically is Manson. So it's up to you. Do you believe Charles Manson? Basically, yeah. And like I say, they've been trying to obviously minimise this rumour spreading. They've done PR management and keyword stuffing, but yeah, you choose what you believe. Basically, I think. Yeah. Yeah, and there's just like one more slide. So there's another cover up, basically. If Angela Lansbury did sign a note, or if she had deeper involvement than has been made public, and did actually meet Manson, it would be extremely valuable for reputation laundering to take place fast. That would explain that she saved her daughter narrative being aggressively pushed on dozens of high ranking outlets, the lack of any contradictory detail in search engines, even though Manson researchers have whispered about it for years, the fact that no journalists, except Tom O'Neill apparently, followed up on Dee Dee's time with Manson, despite the historical significance and her mother's fame. It's textbook Hollywood narrative preservation and strategic reputation management. Bury the uncomfortable truth and amplify the redemption arc. So yeah, basically, and you see this all throughout the Manson case because of the involvement of the Mamas and Papas and the Beach Boys, basically, and anyone else who met Manson and hung out with him. Basically, obviously Terry Melcher and Greg Jacobson. But yeah, and the people that talk about having met Manson, like Michael Caine and Neil Young, obviously never slept with these girls, so they're confident that they're not going to show up in any like tapes that ever emerge or anything like that of Manson girls or whatever. A lot of people want to minimize how involved they were with Manson, and have done this very successfully to the point that a lot of people just won't believe it. They say no, no, it's all rubbish. But you got to remember these people tried to preserve their legacy because they won't make as much money out of their album sales. But I don't think they have to worry, to be honest. I think the people that would buy their music will continue to buy their music anyway, even if they did hear this. I don't think that it does kill the music for them. And I think people like the Mamas and Papas have made their money, haven't they? And the Beach Boys, maybe the Beach Boys could make some more money out of the back catalogue. But doesn't the back catalogue expire on a lot of music anyway? Who gets the money from the Mamas and Papas now? Does Michelle still get her writer's credit for California Dreaming, or is it, expired many years ago? Hmm. Oh yes, yeah. This is the other weird thing about Angela Lansbury, isn't it? Yeah, with no serious acting experience, Maya signed Angela to a 9K month in current dollars contract. I wonder what she had to do to earn that money. Yeah, and I've seen there's lots of recent documentaries about more recent documentaries about the way Judy Garland was treated, and yeah, he sounds creepy as hell. He used to like take him up to his beach houses and make him swim in his pool and shit like that. Yeah, creepy, creepy guy, and the girls just had to submit to it, and he got away with it. Basically, yeah, horrible. Yeah, yeah. This is what I found out about him. Terrible bloke. But yes, you have to remember the reason why you don't find any other sources talking about these rumors is because they've tried to repress them. It's not because it's untrue. It's because they're trying to repress it to manage the legacy of these actors and these musicians, basically. But like I say, if anything, as it goes down in history, it will make these people appear more interesting to people, won't it? Like if you're talking like in a way, though it's negative, it's still it makes them seem their lives seem more interesting, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, and look at the pictures if we go back to the very first slide. Because it's quite hard to find. Someone sent me a newspaper article after I'd done the presentation. Just get off the screen so you can see it. But yeah, that's an early picture. But the one of the one at the back, that's the one where she's about 13. And if you see the whole picture, she's wearing jeans. And Squeaky said that she typically wore jeans, not dresses and blouses. And she's wearing jeans in that picture, and she looks about 13 or so, doesn't she? Yeah. So this would be around the time that she did hang out with Manson. And if Angela did meet him, Angela met him, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the very wealthy and the poor experience neglect too. Well, these people were left alone, and also you have to remember people were parenting their kids really weird. In these, John Phillips left Mackenzie Phillips alone in LA, in an apartment when she was 14 for a year, a whole year alone. And when John Phillips found out that Mackenzie Phillips was a drug addict, according to her book, he didn't help her. He taught her how to inject cocaine and had sex with her. That is what John Phillips did to his daughter. You know, so like Angela Lansbury actually did do right by her kids in the end. She might have fucked up by letting them run wild with the progressive parenting, but as soon as she realised her kids were getting addicted to drugs, she did remove them and take them to Ireland and try and help them. And her kids seem to do all right now. You know, Deidre Lansbury doesn't want to be contacted, doesn't want to talk about this. Don't bother Deidre Lansbury, obviously. But yeah, if she was going to talk about it, she would have by now. Tom O'Neill did manage to find her and contacted her, but she wasn't happy. So yeah, she's not going to talk about it now, is she? If she hasn't already. But yeah, there were Hollywood parents that did worse. Is what I'm saying. You know, John Phillips had an incestuous relationship with his daughter and helped her learn to inject drugs instead of sending her to rehab. Yeah, yeah. That I think the picture was her son and her daughter. I couldn't find what it looks like. It's from a magazine article shoot or something, doesn't it? I couldn't find anything about the source of the actual picture, but that is definitely her son and her daughter. Yeah. Deirdre. You say Deirdre in America, don't you? We say Deirdre, and she was half English, so it might be pronounced Deirdre, but I'll pronounce it Deirdre because that's how Americans pronounce it, innit? You know what I'm saying? And she probably pronounces it Deirdre because she's lived in America her whole life, hasn't she? So. Oh yes. Oh, with the current events, but this is quite funny. Well, it's not funny. It's really fucking bizarre. Yeah, yeah. Mickey Rourke, the actor, was on Celebrity Big Brother, and he's just been chucked out because he made really weird sexist remarks to two women. So made a sexist remark to a lesbian woman and made other sexist remarks about another young woman. And then he just went absolutely mental at some young lad, nearly punched a young lad because they made eye contact and he thought he was eyeballing him and he got in his face and they had to call him into the diary room and he got kicked out, basically. Yeah. Crazy, yeah. Oh yeah, he used to be so funny. He looks like a freak now as well, doesn't he? Yeah, bloody hell, he's done the thing with the fillers, isn't he? Because they told them in Hollywood that these fillers dissolved, but they actually don't dissolve. They build up in your face, so now they've all got these weird faces, haven't they? Yeah. Madonna's done it as well. Madonna obviously thought these fillers dissolve too, but they don't dissolve. Oh dear. Yeah. Oh, he gives me the creeps now. I've seen him on Celebrity Big Brother. He was really weird. He wouldn't sleep in the bed. He slept on the sofa. And he brushed his teeth in the kitchen sink, was spitting in the kitchen sink, brushing his teeth when there is a bathroom. And all the women were looking at him. There's a soap opera called EastEnders in the UK, and there's a character called Bianca, and the actress, and she's a very famous character. She's been in it for many years, on and off. And the actress from EastEnders who plays Bianca, is in the Big Brother house, and she was staring at him like that when he was spitting in the kitchen sink. Yeah. Yeah, he does look like he's had a lot of plastic surgery, but I think there's also he's had the fillers injected that they thought dissolved but do not dissolve, and it's built up in his face and makes him look weird. But he's also was a boxer for a while. I remember him as an actor, but they keep referring to him as a boxer. But I get the impression that he's got some kind of dementia caused by the punches because he kept getting aggressive with people and that. I don't think he should have been in the house. I don't think he should have passed the medical. I'm surprised because when he went in, was anyone watching it? The show where he went in, he didn't seem to know what was going on. Right when the show is starting, it's live, and they walk out onto a stage and they talk to the presenters for a minute, and then they're meant to walk up this thing and go straight into the house. And he spoke to them and they pointed him at the thing he's meant to walk up and he walked up it and then he stopped before the door and started shaking all the crowd's hands. And someone from it's a live show, he's meant to walk straight into the house and he started messing about, shaking people's hands and that. And someone had to run up and ferry him down this thing so he'd actually walk into the house. He'd nearly fucked up the live show because he didn't know what was going on. So straight away I got a weird feeling about it. He shouldn't have been in the house. He didn't know what was going on, medically. He shouldn't have passed the medical. Sorry, we've really gone on a tangent now. We're talking about Mickey Rourke in Celebrity Big Brother. Yeah. Very, very bizarre situation that's just kicked off on British TV. And since you all know who he is. Yeah. But I get the impression there was something wrong with him as well. He shouldn't have been in the house. They shouldn't have let him in the house. He wasn't fit to take part. Hmm. Yes, I've heard that. I've heard, yeah, they have a song called Deirdre. Yeah, yeah. Someone sent me something on Facebook. Is that something interesting? Sorry. Yeah, I think that as well, Mark. Sorry, we'll put that back on the screen. That's what I think. I think he's got, some from something, the thing from concussions. Yeah, yeah. And he said on the show he's lived alone for 5 years. He isolates himself with his partner, sort of thing, and has lived on his own for 5 years. So maybe does have trouble interacting with other people. He gets in fights or whatever. I can't believe they put him in there in the state he was in. I think it was actually immoral. I'm not the sort of person to complain about TV shows, but if they hadn't removed him when they did, I would have written a fucking email, some kind of complaint to Ofcom saying this ain't right. There's something wrong with this guy. Look at him. It's not right to leave him in the show. Yeah. Yeah, she is, but don't try and find her. I haven't even said her current name as well, though you can find it really easily. She doesn't go by Deidre Lansbury anymore. Yeah, she's still alive and she's a restaurateur. I think she's about 69 years old now, so she's possibly retired. But yeah, very easy to find what she's currently called. But yeah, I'm not going to say it now. Don't try and find her or talk to her. She doesn't want to talk about it, obviously. But yeah, Angela Lansbury died, doesn't she? Not that long ago, though. She actually lived to a really old age, didn't she? Yeah. Yeah, hi there. Yeah, 69. Yeah. Right, yeah, I've actually read everything out I was going to read out. But yeah, generally, are you guys interested in hearing about the Mancunian candidate as well? I'll do a poll to find out. And Siran. I don't know how you pronounce it with an American accent. I've been trying to work this out. You probably call him Siran, don't you? Yeah. Uh, yeah, obviously there's a tenuous connection. Well, I could get into a stream about, yeah, Siran and Manson and the Mancunian candidate. Are people interested in that? From what I read, her restaurant was in LA. I think she's in America. Yeah, she lives in America. But yeah, I'm not sure where her. But yeah, you can find. That's the only. If you look up the current articles, that's all they say is that she's got a restaurant, and I think she lives in America. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so Sirhan. So you change it to a different. You separate the word. Yeah, because in English, with an English accent, you probably just say Siran, because we don't hear his name so much as well. So it'll be interesting for my English followers to find out more about Siran. And there's lots of conspiracy theories about him being a Mancunian candidate, obviously. Yeah, yeah. And I don't want to spoil what's going to come up in the stream, but there's quite an obvious link between the Manson case and Siran. Yeah. Yeah, so you would be interested in hearing about that. Yeah, it's a footnote from Angela Lansbury, and it kind of tenuously connects to Angela Lansbury because she was in the Manchurian Candidate, obviously. Yeah, yeah. And like I say, if you haven't seen the Manchurian Candidate, it's worth watching. Yeah, very strange film, and I can see why it drove people nuts. People, if you were a bit mentally fragile, it could cause too much paranoia. Yeah, yeah, and it did at the time. Apparently, they had to stop it being circulated because. There was an outbreak of people ringing up saying, "Oh God, I think I've been brainwashed by commies." Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. You can say it's not doxing her because the name is publicly available. I won't say it. Though I won't say it with words, but yeah, her surname. She's obviously got a married name now, hasn't she? Angela Lansbury's daughter, that is. But yeah, I doubt she's that easy to find anyway. And she didn't want to talk to Tom O'Neill, and she apparently wasn't happy when Tom O'Neill found her. So yeah, just leave her alone. You don't think he did, yeah? Because like I say, I've never even really deep dived into him. So if there's an appetite for it, I will talk more about him and how people think he was somehow brainwashed to do this. But yeah, to me, from the surface analysis of it, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he actually did it at all. I think somehow he was set up. Someone else did it. And there's actually a conspiracy theory about John Lennon as assassin as well, that he didn't do it. The guy that's in prison didn't do it. It was actually the doorman. And you can see him in the photos because there's a photo of John Lennon signing something for his assassin just before the guy shoots him. And you see the doorman stood in the background of that photo, and people say it was actually the doorman that shot him, not whatever the hell the guy's name is. Who knows though? Hmm. All right. So the gunshot, right, was much closer, not several feet away. Right. Yeah. I'll have to. I'd like to say, if I'm gonna do streams about it, I will. Yeah, look more into it. Yeah. Yeah. No, everyone's saying they don't believe Saran did it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So obviously I'll look into it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll do a poll because stuff about Garrettson seems really popular at the moment. People want to hear about Garrettson. So, and I've got 2 streams set up. So there's a choice of 2 streams I could do next week. Stuff about the Manchurian candidate or stuff about Garrettson. Yeah. He gets friendly with it. Yeah, but no, I think people with the conspiracy in this conspiracy theory are saying that this guy worked for the intelligence or whatever. Yeah, and it's one of these nutty conspiracy theories. Yeah. Or and there's a lot of theories about John Lennon having handlers and stuff like that as well, isn't there? So a lot of people close to him are suspected of being whatever. Yoko Ono, a lot of people, everyone says that Yoko Ono was John Lennon's handler. And there are some weird things that he said. Have you ever looked at May Pang, the woman that he had the affair with, the 2 year affair? He left Yoko Ono, but Yoko Ono actually orchestrated it because she was getting sick of John Lennon because he was too smothering. She wanted a break, so she set up this affair with May Pang. And she says some weird stuff like when he finally went back. He said, "Oh, she's called me to the house. She wants me to go under hypnosis so that I can give up smoking." And then when he came back to May Pang, he was acting different, and he said, "Right," she says, "I can go back to her now. I've got to go back to her now." And he left May Pang, and he went back to Yoko Ono. But there's a rumor that the song "Woman" is not about Yoko Ono; it's actually about May Pang as well, which is interesting. Yeah, that's it. You don't believe the official narrative on anything anymore. Well, having seen the Manson case and how effectively they did manage to cover it up and how hard it is to get people to believe that there's a different narrative, even everyone just thinks you're, some kind of maniac who loves Charles Manson if you even question the narrative sort of thing. It shows. So it makes me question a lot now. It's like, well, if they successfully covered up this, what else did they cover up? You know what I mean? And you start to look at stuff, don't you? Think, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, you want to hear the Garrettson stuff, yeah, because there's obviously there was also the other thing that I haven't covered. So I've covered his trial testimony, his polygraph test, haven't I? And the other thing is uh, the sound reports, because someone went and did ballistic tests to see if he could have heard the gunshots, basically, from the guest house. Didn't they? Yeah, and we can read about that because yeah, obviously everyone says how could he have not heard stuff, when so much happened right outside his windows. Because if you listen to his trial testimony, he didn't even have the stereo up that loud apparently. Yeah, but he claims he heard nothing. And when they did, but when I won't spoil it. I'm going to stream about it. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. If you hear about May Pang was actually quite nice because a lot of people don't look into that affair. All they hear is that John Lennon had an affair, and they go, "Oh, poor Yoko Ono," sort of thing. But if you look into it, Yoko Ono set it up. Yoko Ono was John Lennon was dead clingy and annoying. She needed a break from him, and she actually set it up. So he wasn't cheating on Yoko Ono. She could order him to do something, and he just went and did it, and he went and had this relationship with May Pang for 2 years. So he wasn't like cheating, yeah. Yeah, and you want to hear more about Garrettson, yeah. Like I say, I will do both anyway. I just see who wants to hear what first. Because I was going to do the Mancunian candidate stuff directly after this, obviously, because it relates to Angela Lansbury. But I can just see people liking Garrettson stuff at the moment. So, yeah. Mm. Yeah, well, this is the thing. You cannot find any like police interviews or anything with Kremwinkle. So anything that she's supposed to have said is just a rumor, a mysterious rumor. Like we cannot find any police interviews. You cannot even find what she said at the penalty phase. Though you can find what Leslie and Susan said. The transcript of Kremwinkle's testimony at the penalty phase is missing. You can't find it, and no police interviews. But there's no police interviews with Susan either. Though you hear the Leslie tapes, I think those are the conversations with our lawyer, aren't they? Not police. So there's some police interviews of Leslie's available because I've seen transcripts of Leslie's police interviews, but you don't see Susan's police interviews. You don't see Krenwinkel's police interviews. It's very mysterious. Yeah. Yeah. Let's just look at the chat here, innit? I didn't hear that. Was Keith Richards in the, what? Do you mean the Manson case, or are you talking about the shooting of RFK or something, right? Because I looked into this to see where the Rolling Stones were around the time of the murders, and I thought they were not in the in America at the actual time of the murders. Because yeah, I looked into that for some reason. Yeah, I thought that Keith Richards would not have been nearby. Who do you mean? Yeah. Oh, John Lennon. Sorry. Oh, great. Yeah, sorry. I've realised what you mean now. You're talking about John Lennon. Keith Richards was near John Lennon. So yeah, he would have been in America then, obviously. Yeah, would have had to have been in New York, wouldn't he? Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. John wanted to go back to Yoko, and apparently, yeah, there was an interview up with May Pang on some podcast, and it was really good. And she just talks quite openly. And also, the other thing is, if it's untrue and libelous, why isn't Yoko Ono sued her and stuff like that? But May Pang talks openly about this, and Yoko Ono's not tried to stop her. So I agree with it. Yeah, believe that she's telling the truth because she was a PA for them or something like that, and she realised that John Lennon had a thing for Asian girls, sort of thing, and that he was attracted to May Pang, and he said, "Why don't you go and have a relationship with her?" Yeah. Just to give her a break because he was so possessive and clingy. It did her head in. Yeah. Oh god, yeah. Well, that is a sickening thing. Yeah, that book is not for the faint-hearted. I did consider reading some of her stuff out. I would like to, yeah, just to show what these people were like because all this legacy protections going on. People don't know. People don't want to hear it. A lot of people don't want to hear the stuff about Dennis Wilson and all this sort of stuff. It's just and the mamas and papas. Michelle Phillips, people defend Michelle Phillips because they obviously haven't heard these darker rumours about everything she did. But yeah, she slept with so many people, cheated on people, shagged people that were married, cheated on her husband with his own bandmate and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, this is what they were like. And yeah, the incestual relationship with Mackenzie. Yeah, it's just disturbing, isn't it? And it wasn't initially consenting as well. She woke up. He had like drugged her while she was unconscious, or she was in such a state she couldn't remember, and she like became conscious and realised that her father was having sex with her, sort of thing, the first time. And then when she confronted him about it, said, "Why did you rape me?" He said he gaslit her. He said, "What do you mean when we made love?" Sort of thing, and messed with her. And she also told someone else in his entourage, and they said, "Oh, well, don't tell anyone. You'll ruin his career," basically. So people around him knew about it and covered it up. And then in the end, the relationship did become consensual because she toured with him as the new Mamas and Papas for years, and all the time that they were touring, apparently, every night she was going to his room. They were injecting this type of sleeping pill and yeah, sleeping with each other. Disturbing. Hmm. Uh. Yeah, well, this is it. The disgusting behaviour should be disclosed and not hidden away, but they want to hide it away because they want to protect the legacy. But I think the music, people will still play the music and listen to the music anyway. It's not really, and how many people are actually looking and reading this? I don't think it's going to affect their legacy that much, to be quite honest, because a lot of people will just never believe it as well, no matter how much evidence we show them. And there isn't a lot of evidence as well. It's just anecdotal because the evidence was repressed at the time. So it's up to what you believe. But I can believe it, seeing the way people were behaving at this time and knowing how society was. I can believe it. Pardon me. You heard terrible things about Michelle Phillips from people who knew her, that she was an absolute nightmare to deal with. Yeah. And yeah, well, I've heard a lot of stuff. If you just listen to what her family says, they say like Thanksgiving dinners are awkward and all this sort of stuff. She is, and she looks manic whenever I see interviews with her, she looks like she's kind of bipolar or whatever. She looks manic. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Yoko picked May Pang for John. I hope it's still up because it was a really nice interview with her, a podcast. May Pang Speaks or something like that, the video's called on YouTube. But yeah, Yoko actually picked her out and told John to go to her because people talk about it like, oh, wasn't John a bastard cheating on her? But actually, Yoko set it up because she needed a break from John. And I don't know if she had other partners while John was away. Who knows? I don't know. Oh god, yeah, it is. It is a tough read. Yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. Mackenzie Phillips' book. Yeah, yeah, it is awful. Because she got pregnant as well and had to have an abortion. Yeah, because she didn't know if it was dad's or well, I think she did know it was her dad's, didn't she? Basically, yeah. So yeah, she had to have an abortion. Oh, horrible. Yeah, that's it. Never meet your heroes. But like I say, this is totally studying the Manson case has totally changed my view of the music industry. And well, reading about how they treated Cass Elliot really, really, really changed me. It upset me so much how little credit she got for what she did, and that what I mean. It really made me think the music industry was a shit place for women in them days. And the way John Phillips treated her, and the way he got away with treating her, just because he felt threatened because the public were more interested in her. She was more interesting because there were no bands with a fat girl in them, were there? She was interesting. And she did have an interesting personality and could talk well and that, didn't she? So yeah, he felt threatened by her. So he made her life difficult, basically. Mm. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, May Pang was an assistant of John and Yoko. Yeah. All right, and she was sleeping with the session musician David Spinoza. Wow, yeah, because I've never read about what Yoko did. Weirdly enough, though, oh well, I know someone who knows Yoko Ono's PA, so yeah, I could possibly talk. I would love to talk to Yoko Ono. I think she's brilliant. I think that everything she did to be a provocateur, and that she's very, very well. She knew exactly what she was doing, and her and John Lennon were having a laugh because they knew that no one would want to upset John Lennon by saying anything about it. Like that thing with oh, who is it? And she starts singing, and they switch off her microphone, and the guy stands there, looks like he's trying not to laugh. I can't remember. It's the oh, is it Chuck? Is it Chuck? No, it's not Chuck Berry. I don't think it's Chuck Berry. I think is it BB King. I think it might be BB King. I think she did that deliberately. Sorry, smoking again. Just to provoke people, and they had a laugh about it because no one would want to say anything to John Lennon in case they upset him because John Lennon, was so influential. It was Chuck Berry, wasn't it? Yeah, it's Chuck Berry. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. It was so when he heard he suggested it. So we go, well, he cheated with, that's why she left him for Eric Clapton, didn't it? Because he cheated with Ringo's wife, yeah. Sorry, I've got to plug my fan back in. My computer back in so you hear the fan louder now. You'll probably pick it up. It just sounds like a weird sort of clicking noise, doesn't it, with this headset, though? Slightly better. Hmm. Yeah. Eric Clapton did laugh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, God, he did like to peel women, did he, as well? Is that another one? Another weirdo. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, well, Eric Clapton did the Layla album, didn't he? To emotionally blackmail her into leaving George Harrison for him, yeah. Yeah, and then he cheated on her as well. Yeah, he cheated on her, and the woman he cheated on, he got pregnant, and that baby was the one that eventually fell out the tower block in New York. Yeah, crazy, crazy lives these people lead, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So referred to Cass as the heart and soul of Laurel Canyon. Yeah, her houses. A lot of people visited her houses, didn't they, and all that sort of thing. And a lot of musicians met because of her, and recorded together because of her. And she was good at developing harmonies and that. She had worked in a harmony group before the Mamas and Papas as well, you know. So she knew about harmony. And she enhanced John's songs, didn't she? And she never got the credit for it because he was too fucking proud. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Well, he's had years, hasn't he, to fucking. So I think from the end of the 70s onwards, he seems to have chilled out a lot, doesn't he? But yeah, that was in the 80s, wasn't it, that his son died? And that was a weird thing as well, because also the account of his death, the initial account that I heard was completely different to one that I heard Eric Clapton give in a documentary recently as well. Well, not that recently. The documentary was on about 3 years ago. But you hear Eric Clapton himself actually talking about it. Because I had heard a completely different story that there was a nanny looking after the baby and that he was in a cot by an open window and he had pulled himself up in the cot and had fallen out the window. But that's not what happened at all. The day that he died, Eric Clapton had taken him to the circus and he had brought him round to the mother's friend's flat, apartment, and had left him with the mother and the friend. And there was a window open, a low window, low enough for the baby to climb up, and no one shut the window. And he would have had to walk past two adults to get to the window, but he somehow climbed up and fell out this open window. And when they looked out the window, they saw him on the roof of a neighbouring building, dead, basically. And two adults would have seen the kid walk past them, and presumably stood there and watched him climbing up and falling out the window. It was very, very bizarre. Hmm. Yeah. You know, I swear to you, this was from a really cheapo shop as well. They're doing good stuff now in these cheap shops. Well, looks good, but it falls apart very quickly, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's done a lot to promote drug rehab stuff as well. He does a lot that he's done a lot that doesn't get that he's done anonymously. That he doesn't want credit for. He has tried to redeem himself, I think. Hmm. Yeah, Vito. Yeah, Palika, he's a weird one as well that's interesting to talk about. And I found an interview with him where he's trying to make out that he's anti underage girls and that, but there's lots of stuff about him being promoting underage girls and that earlier in the 60s. But he obviously started to freak out, and he's associated with Frank Zappa as well. It's some dodgy stuff about Frank Zappa there in the 60s. Yeah, very very odd guy. He's the freaky dancing bloke. The guy that when everyone just throws themselves around on the dance floor. He's the guy that promoted all that. But I've also heard that he learned it from Charles Manson. It was the Manson family that was originally doing that freaky dance style, and Vito Palika stole it off them. Who knows? Yeah, Patty has. Do you mean Patty Boyd? Yeah, because she's now just married to a guy who's like a businessman or something, isn't she? Yeah, she's doing all right. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Oh, Rita Coolidge. That's only got screwed out of songwriting credits for later. She wrote the end instrumental part. Yeah, well, it changes completely at the end, didn't it? I always think that bit sounds out of place. Actually, in later, I don't know what that. Yeah, I think it doesn't ruin the song, but yeah, it just completely changes, doesn't it? The song doesn't make any sense. Hmm. Yeah. Never watched kids on LSD. Yeah. Never give your kids a note to travel with Charles Manson and take LSD. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what? He appeared on You Bet Your Life with Groucho Marx as well. Yeah, there was a interview I found of him, and it's sometime it might even be the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s sort of time. And he's got a wife who only looks about 22 or so, and he's about fucking, I'd estimate 60. And he's married to a woman that's really young, and she's pregnant as well. Yeah, yeah. And already has kids with him. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, right, I might end this one now and come back and do an after show because we've been going for an hour. Yes. Thank you for coming, though. Thank you for watching all the way to the end if you're watching this on playback. You're a legend. Very few people do start watching my videos, watch them all the way to the end, but some people do. Yeah, I'll finish this now, and give me about 5 minutes and I'll start an after show if you're interested in that. And we can just have a bit more of a chat. So don't have to get up tomorrow. Hey. Right, yes, thank you for coming. And like I say, I'll put a poll up and on the community tab, and it'll be in the Facebook group as well. I don't think you can do it on the subreddit, a poll. But yeah, I'll do a poll to see who wants to hear what. Anyway, yes. We'll see you next week. It will either be another thing about Angela Lansbury, the Manchurian candidate, or it will be a thing about Garrettson and how he couldn't have heard anything, yeah.